call the Burke County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, July 19th, 2022 at 6 p.m. to order. I'd like to welcome everybody in the audience tonight and those watching on YouTube. Madam Clerk, all 5 commissioners are in attendance. Our county finance officer, our county attorney, and our county manager. Madam, I would remind everyone to please silence your mobile devices. And then all speakers that come to the lectern, please make sure that the red speaker is on so you can be heard throughout the chamber and those following on YouTube as well. First item of business, ladies and gentlemen, is I will now ask our friend Jeff Lovett to lead us in the invocation. And I will ask you to please remain standing while I ask our county attorney to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I was very grateful to be handed the walking stick. It wasn't that long ago I needed a cane. I had surgery the last part of last year. Anyway, let us bow. Heavenly Father, we thank you so very much for the opportunity for our being here. We know, Father, that as the psalmist has said, the psalmist David in Psalm 8, that when we consider the earth and the moon and the stars, those things which your hand has made, and we look at ourselves and we wonder, what is man that you even give thought to us? And yet we are here. And we are here asking in prayer your blessing upon this meeting because of the new and living way which our Lord Jesus Christ opened up through the veil, which is his flesh. We're confident, Father, that you are a God who cares, a God who listens, and a God who acts. And we pray, Father, that you'll help us keep our sense of proportion, that we are, in fact, but servants. And I pray, Father, you will bless the efforts of everyone here today and the things that will be accomplished. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, JR, and I'd like to thank Jeff as well. He's been a good friend of the board, and I see Madam Clerk has presented you with the Fauna Flora Trail hiking stick, so hopefully that comes in to some use soon. Gentlemen, there is a correction to or a deletion from our agenda this evening. We are going to remove the scheduled public hearing number 1. The applicant requested the removal, so you've had a chance to review that and the rest of the agenda. So do we have a motion to accept the agenda as corrected?
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you've got a motion on the consent agenda. Before we approve the agenda, we need to determine if anybody has a question or concern with that, or is the revision okay?
Let's see, are we talking about item number 3?
Yes.
Mr. Steen?
That's the one we changed from a letter to a form.
Oh, we changed it from a letter to a form. I mean, I don't think there's anything of a significance to that. I'm sorry. Kay had to help me remember that.
So just a letter to a form?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
It just needs, you need to know that we revised something we voted on. And if everybody's okay with it, you just need to include it when you make the motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor of the adoption of the agenda signify with uplifted hand. That is 5-0, Madam Clerk. Gentlemen, the next item is approval of minutes. Those have been submitted previously for February 4th, 2022, our regular retreat, day 2, and February 15th, 2022, our regular meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? And if not, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Mr. Chairman, I will make one comment on the February 15th minutes. I had requested several times the people who served on that committee, and they are in those minutes if you want to review that second meeting. And I will make the motion that we approve those agendas as rendered.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Thank you, gentlemen. That is 5-0, Madam Clerk. Our next item of business is presentation. This is a presentation by some good friends of mine on Brighter House, presented by Eddie and Sherry McGimpsey, co-founders of the Brighter House. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to did y'all get to read some of the information that we gave you? Do you have any questions?
And Sherry, we'll take those at the
Okay,
end.
sorry.
Yeah.
At the end? Okay,
No,
all right.
no,
Good.
yes,
All right, so I'm really excited. So this is where we are right now. We have the house, we have a 501c3. We were fortunate enough that Danny Scalise wanted to meet us over at the house. He's, y'all know him. He is so excited to be a part of this with us. He said he would bring his team over to help us do well checks. That this is a piece that with Burke County has been missing. I found this model probably about 6 years ago, and about 4 years ago we flew up to New York to see the original one. Then we came home and we went to Gateway in Greenville, South Carolina. We took Carol Urban and David Burleson down there to see that model. It's the same model. It's the Fountain House model. And they were blown away. And they both said that, Burke County needs a clubhouse for the seriously mentally ill. So we've got that. We just got a donation of a full office, computers, lasers, printers, all the office stuff that got donated. We just got a state, we're on the state, we just got $105,000 on the budget from the state. We got that yesterday. Yes! So that's a start. And we've actually been going out now. We've had, Danny actually wrote us a thing. We've talked to Dogwood Trust, and now we're looking for funds to get it off the ground. And I'm looking to get enough to be able to get a year going. And everybody keeps telling me to think bigger, but I'm not going to get past a year. I want a year to get this off the ground and things. Because unless you've lived, and what I've seen, our son is lucky. He has two parents that love him dearly and are there. But a lot of people get very exhausted with this disease. The parents are just exhausted, and their children end up on the street. And no child asks for this disease, not one. But it is really difficult, and they need support. When they come out of a hospital, if they don't have that support, they're just going to go right back in that door, either jail, prison, or the hospital, and that revolving door. And we've got to figure out how to stop that revolving door. And Brighter House Clubhouse is that piece. We've got Dr. Martin, Michelle Martin at Broughton. She is all for this. Dr. Burnett actually came, one of the doctors from the hospital came over to one of our board meetings. We've got Kathy Bailey. I asked her when it's time to look for a director. She said, yeah, I will hook you up with our HR department. She said, we need this. So I'm getting everybody's support and in our local, that deals with this kind of illness on a daily basis and things. So that's great. So I just wanted y'all to know where we are in the process right now. The house is right over there. We've already talked to Food Matters. They want to team with us. And so, it's just going to be a really good team effort. And we hope to be open by Christmas. That's my Christmas wish. So.
Gentlemen, questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I have several comments and several questions. My first comment is, may God bless your efforts. I don't fully understand all there is to know about mental health, would admit that. And these questions was part of that so that I can equip myself to answer questions that might come about if I recommend or tell somebody that you need to go to see Bright House. So I think your presentation states that you're not a treatment center,
Not a treatment, no, you are
but
not.
you offer a cure.
We offer a community of, and that, you leave your diagnosis at the door. I love that saying, that that's what happens at these clubhouses, that you can leave and you come in and you're actually a working member. It is their club. They get to be a part of it. They make the decisions. You talk, I don't know if you've ever heard peer-to-peer support, but that's one of the best peer supports I've ever seen in it. And the clubhouse in Carborough and Adventure House in Shelby, Gateway, I mean, that's what I saw. And every one of them was that peer support. The 4% of the most seriously mentally ill is schizophrenia, bipolar, PTSD, OCD, and manic depressive. That is the most severe, and this is what the clubhouse is for. And we don't have anywhere like that. You know, Burke County does not. So it's just a great opportunity in its time. And because they have, if they're med compliant, they're going to have to fill out papers. If they don't have someone there to help them fill out papers, they can be so vulnerable, people take advantage of them. So if somebody's stealing their check, that they get in the mail, they can have their check delivered to Clubhouse. They will help them pay their bills. They are there for a support team. And if you want to get a part-time job, they'll train 2 people to get a job, because sometimes you're not well one day, and so somebody else could go do that job. And if those 2 people can't go, someone at the clubhouse will go, and they won't even charge them. They'll work their job. They want them to get back on their feet, to have some connection back in the community, not isolated. And because that's what happens a lot of times when they get that sick, they go home, they go in their bedrooms, and they get totally isolated. It's really hard for them to get out, but this is the community for them.
Okay. The next question is real elementary.
Okay.
But we are getting bombarded with people and treatments, and they took a big thing out of social services and put it on Partners Mental Health that, are mentally ill. And that simple question is, how do you know I'm mentally ill? And then how do you know when I'm
You have to
well?
have a diagnosis. Before you can become a member, you have to fill out a form, and you have to have an official diagnosis. And
You'll have a healthcare provider, a psychiatrist, to fill a form out for you.
So I will be determined mentally incapable before I come to your place.
exactly.
Now, you may come and take a tour and meet people before we get that done, but part of the process of becoming an actual member would be to certify your diagnosis.
Okay, and
And
you said
about,
I had to.
one other statistic that's important,
Okay.
I think, is 60% of our substance abuse folks suffer from a mental illness that would qualify for this clubhouse. So a big thing we have in Burke County, as other counties do. So we hope to not alleviate it. People living with a mental illness, it's a disease that doesn't go away. This just improves their life and keeps them out of the hospital, out of jail, and gives them a hope and a future in a group of a community people the peer support's really important.
Okay, and you mentioned signing a contract. What's all's in the contract? And are they mentally capable at the point they come to see you to digest, if you will, or mentally understand what they're signing? And what happens if they break the contract?
Well, a lot of them will be referred. This is where like letting the hospitals know. A lot of these people, they know, they work with them on a regular basis, year in, year out. So they will refer them to us. Like we have Mulaney Roney, she's on our board. She's like, oh, I can already have people list. So there's a list.
I know what he's at.
Okay.
The actual contract is on the Brighter House staff, that they're agreeing to make sure that they treat those people with dignity that are going to be our members. That's more of a guarantee for the members that join more than what we're going to perform. It's that we're going to always look out for their best interest, and that they'll be involved in the management of the clubhouse, and they are. they serve on the board. They will make decisions about opening. They'll make decisions about things that are done. So now, not all agreed. Everybody's going to be on a different level when they come into the clubhouse. And we saw it ourselves that some would come in the morning and they would say, Eddie, how are you feeling today? I might say, well, I didn't sleep good last night. I think I want to hang out on the sofa. So you kind of let that person do what they're capable of doing that day. Now, after lunch, they may say, well, you know, I want to work on birthday cards for some of our members. So then you would assign him a task of working on birthday cards. It's real basic stuff, but it gives them a quality of life like you would have when you go into work and you have certain things to do. They begin to understand what the responsibility is of being a clubhouse member. And they may not have had that where they're living now. So it really, it kind of reshapes their life in a way that it's hard to understand when you don't actually see it. But if you get to Carborough, if you go down the Chapel Hill Way, which I'm sure some of y'all might be fans down that, go by Carborough and go by Club Nova. And it's a great example of what's been in Carborough for about 20 years. And they started in a rundown little house, not nearly as nice as what we're hoping to get open. But the town of Carborough, they've raised $6.5 million to build a brand new facility right smack dab in the middle of downtown Carborough to service these folks that as a clubhouse. So it also helps substantiate housing, which is really important. You know, housing for folks that have a mental illness or also a drug problem or an alcohol problem, sometimes that can be a really iffy situation for the landlord or low rent housing. So they may not want to rent a house that's safe. So people end up having to live in risky neighborhoods that is not good for their health. The clubhouse model will help find them safe housing and will help with the landlord and help make sure they make payments on time and it's a good place. So, you know, partly being on a bus route and being in the middle of town is very convenient for people to walk there because they don't have transportation.
But I'm going to need a van.
But we will need a van. And our funding, basically our operating cost, and that, you know, we're not here to ask for money from you guys. We just want your health department is going to be, I think, really an integral part in helping us move forward with grants and operation. But Partners Behavioral Health at Catawba, they will be our main funding source once we're up to speed. They will reimburse us for time spent with members. We need funding to get started because we don't have that cash flow operating now, and it may take a year to build up. We need about 20 members a day visiting the clubhouse to make things balance out. So we'll need some grants and things to get us to that point. But you know, we hope to be without need of funding, but need of support.
Well, that was one of my questions, but you said in your presentation you already had a $105,000 grant from the state of North Carolina. So, but that is a good question for the benefit of the audience and for the citizens. If someone wants to participate and make a donation to your farm, they contact you, right?
Yes, and we have a website, and it is up and running. And it's the Brighter House, and it is wonderful, and you can donate through there. And we're also connected with Nancy Taylor at the Burke Community Foundation that you can give through that too. Just on your little memo part, just put Brighter House.
I know Nancy, and she's good looking, but she's not kin to me. But that's awful, isn't it? Kind of the final question, I guess. Well, no, there's two more questions. Capacity. At full capacity, you'll be treating
30. It's not large enough, and Partners really did give me a hard time about that because they said you could double it in a year.
They think we're really busy, so, but
you know, but if
we
we
want to
can,
get started
we just
first.
want to get started. I mean, I just, you know, never doing something like this on our own, you know, a 501c3 and the whole process. I mean, it's been an education. So, you know, so to get this off the ground, because it's got to happen, it's just got to happen.
But to get 30 members statistically through other clubhouses, they have an enrollment of about 100 members. And so about 30 can show up each day. So we can handle 30 at any one time, but, you know, that's coming and going during about an 8-hour day. And we're only open during the daytime. There's no night, and usually not open on the weekends. So it's strictly
Unless
a
it's
day
a special
program.
event.
Right.
Well, I close by saying again, I will be praying that God will bless your efforts and give
Thank
you
you.
great success.
Thank you. We only
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Mr. Britton?
I think I've garnered this already, but this is not a residential
No,
facility.
it's a day program.
It's a day
It's a
program.
day program.
Yeah, the
But you help
code
folks
for it is,
find housing and all that.
And just to help them, you know, when they're, just, you know, it's very difficult when you have someone with a mental illness. Sometimes the meds work, sometimes they have to change the meds. So they're confused. I mean, you know, so just to help them, like if they've got a problem, somebody there knows how to help them. You know, is it filling out forms, you know, or if you don't show up, one of the jobs of a clubhouse member that day will be, if somebody doesn't show up, then they're gonna call. They'll call that person, they wanna call that person, and if they don't show up the next day, they'll call them again. If they don't show up the third day, somebody from the clubhouse will go find them. So just having that connection of people caring about you and understanding your illness is just, you know, no matter where you come in, you know, that's why I love that thing, leave your diagnosis at the door, because everybody's got a different one, everybody's gonna handle it differently, and the club members do that with the, you know, they do that, you know, so there'll be kitchen duties, there'll be, you know, I want a garden, I see all kind of, you know, art room, you know, just, it's just a wonderful place for them to be that's safe and to help with their bills if they need it. Every one of them's got like a little bank, so people don't have to like carry their money around, because if you know, they'll either give it away to everybody else, you know, or they won't have enough to do this or that, you know, so it's like they'll do breakfast and lunch and sometimes dinner. And
two other things that we haven't really mentioned is one, she mentioned earlier, was employment. And that's really about 40% of the success of clubhouses is getting these folks back into the workforce. And the way they do that is generally they get two people trained for one job. And that way, if somebody has a bad day, the employer is not put out counting on that person to show up. So that was, that's a key part. And the other part is education. You know, we'll be working with the Western Piedmont Community College with people to get GED degrees, or if they want to get another degree, or if they need training for work, we'll help with that. So those are we don't duplicate what vocational rehabilitation does. They'll be a partner of ours, and we've had one of their folks on our board temporarily for a while as an advisor. So we don't look to replace or reduplicate anything that's happening. We just sort of are bringing those entities together to manage this piece. And typically it pays for itself. If you look at the cost of someone in jail for a month or someone in a psych ward for a month, the cost of somebody being in a clubhouse is much less than that. So if we can show that we keep those folks out and safe, that's a real success, and it pretty much pays for the care that, well, not care, but for the facility that we're going to operate out of.
How many staff do you anticipate being on the site?
2.5, we think, to start, because we won't really have a lot of members.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, comments? Well, as you know, you are my neighbors, and I know how passionate and personal this is to you. I just want to say I admire the work you've done, and this isn't something for people that don't know. Y'all have been working on this how many years now?
probably about 4. We stopped during COVID, but once we got that 501c3 this February, I mean, we've just been off and running, and so now it's just keep going, keep pushing forward, taking that next step.
And we've had a lot of encouragement from the entities that would refer people to us, from the Grace Hospital, UNC Healthcare Blue Ridge, and Broughton Hospital. And we have talked to the VA in Asheville about referring folks that live in Burke County that are veterans, because our son is a veteran. So he's been lucky to have both services available to him through the VA and local ACT teams that Caring Alternative has.
And this has a proven record for the folks
Yes.
watching on YouTube. Fountain House that y'all visited, I think it was 4 years ago, it's been around 70 years. So this isn't something that's happened in the last 5 or 10 years for the folks that don't have the information that we have in front of us. And I noticed Fountain House reports that 99% of members who come to the facility homeless find stable housing within a year. as well as 5% recidivism rate among members with a history of incarceration or justice involvement. So pretty amazing statistics, and I just wanted to get that out for the.
Well, and it
general.
is an accredited program, so part of when you hire a director and actually get open, you send a director and a staff person and a board member for training, and it takes about 2 to 3 years to become accredited through their organization. But that's our goal, is to be accredited, and that's partly because of what you were saying. If you are accredited, then you're going to go into one like Club Nova or go into Adventure House or come to our clubhouse, and you're going to see the same activities taking place. And it's not that they're all successful, but generally they all have been successful. And there's only 320 worldwide, so it's not, they really haven't tried to grow the brand like a chain. They've been very, careful about taking in statistics and making sure that things are operated correctly. So it's a good model.
Absolutely. Any other questions, comments, gentlemen? Well, thanks for all the work you've done. Great presentation, and we'll see you on the street soon.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right, gentlemen. Second presentation will be recognition of employees receiving certifications presented by Mark Delahunt, our General Services Director. Mark, how are you, sir?
Good, real good, thank you. And good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just as most of us, I've been up here enough, you'd think I'd have it by now, but anyways, bear with me. One of these days I'll get it. But just as most of us take it for granted that when we flip a switch on, the light's going to turn on, we also take for granted that when we turn on the faucet, the water that comes out is going to be safe to drink, shower in, and wash our hands in. I ask you to join me in recognizing 2 Burke County employees that are dedicated to providing that assurance. Assistant General Service Director Brian Tart and Water Sewer Supervisor Burl Cook both sat for and passed the Grade 1 wastewater collection exam in September last year, then passed the exam for the Grade C water distribution in May of last year. Then in May of this year, they both passed the Grade B water distribution exam. This is quite an accomplishment in that 1 out of every 4 who take the test fail it. Both Brian and Burl passed each of these exams on their first attempt. The Grade 1 wastewater exam and the Grade B distribution certifications allow them to serve as ORC over both our water and sewer systems. Prior to my employment with Burke County just over a year ago, these services were being contracted out, costing the county $12,000 annually. Now, the county employs 3 operators capable of providing this service. With that said, please join me in congratulating Brian Tart and Burl Cook. Got some wallpaper for him. Yep. Thank you.
Gentlemen, before you leave, any comments, questions?
Wish we could get a picture of them from paper.
I think that would be fantastic. Kay, let's do that up front. If y'all gentlemen don't mind, we'll have a picture with the commissioners.
Mark, you're not gonna stand with them?
Come on up, Mark.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
Let's give him another round of applause. Well, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, we appreciate your diligence, Mr. Cook, Mr. Tart. Congratulations. Thank you so much for your dedication to your jobs. All right, gentlemen, we'll go move on to scheduled public hearings. And as we mentioned earlier, item number 1 has been deleted, so we are moving on to item number 2, ordinance amending the FY 2022-2023 budget ordinance and public hearing. This will be presented by our county manager, Brian Steen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, we recently adopted a budget, and we had some language in it regarding the ability of the manager to authorize the lowering of fees for the adoptions of animals in our care. Reality is showing us that we need greater flexibility than what's in the actual original ordinance, and we're asking for that flexibility because kitten season and puppy season and other things, and people who may have had pets during COVID and now are going back to work, or some of them are wanting to turn their dogs back in, their cats back in. So if you could help me with this, I would certainly appreciate it. Our goal is to get as many animals adopted as possible, and this, I think, would help me to be able to do that. Thank you.
Gentlemen, any questions or comments for Brian? We had this presented to us at the pre-agenda, and it does give us a lot of flexibility.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a couple of questions. I guess the first one is, what is the total capacity that we can have in that facility at one time?
Well, I want to think about 16 dogs, and that's probably pushing it. And they have cats just stacked up in racks in a back room. I'm not sure that that's even air conditioned, but it has fans. But there's a limit, and they're at times overwhelmed.
Are we breaking the rules, Brian, if we would, I mean, can we not hang up, the best way I know to say this is, can we not hang up a sign like a hotel, no more vacancies, and
Well,
I don't know how.
yeah,
It's hard to accomplish on one side, you want to take care of the animals, and then on the other side, when you just have no more room, you just have no more room.
yeah, and our facility operates in a managed care operation, and if I'm understanding, they are telling people they are booked up now through November. And, I mean, we still wind up doing investigations and having to take animals in. There's some circumstances we just really don't have a good choice. I wish we had a little more capacity, but again, I'm very grateful, of course, that we were able to help the Animal Services Foundation with the purchase of a van that will help them to transport animals to other areas that don't have enough, which is good for the animals and the people. So again, thank you. I hope I've answered your question, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, gentlemen? If not, I will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this issue? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Gentlemen, what's the pleasure of the board?
I make the motion that we approve the revision for the amendment that has been requested. Item 2, to adopt order number 2022-04 as presented.
So your motion is to adopt ordinance number 2022-04 as presented. Gentlemen, you've heard the Commissioner Taylor's motion. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Motion carried 5-0, Madam Clerk. Now we'll move on to informal public comments. I would ask each speaker when they come to the lectern to make sure the red light is on, and to please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody signed up to speak?
We do, Miss Carla Kincaid.
Good evening, everybody. Glad to be back. Just up here once again, in reference to the Confederate soldier that stands on the square. And just wanted to read a little bit of stuff here in reference to the lawyers who are challenging the racist symbols in courthouse squares especially. We know that there are 42 Confederate monuments standing in front of North Carolina courthouses, according to the University of North Carolina historian. Confederate memorializes intentionally located monuments in front of the most important civic buildings. It's not just about all of the monuments, but in our particular case, it's the monument, which I've said before in my past speeches here, of how not only the Confederate soldier, that is kind of a disgrace for me, as well as visitors coming in town. Yet I have more visitors coming in town this week. And I think I've told you in the past about one that came in particular, if you can remember, or maybe you don't remember. Not only that, but the oversized flags adds to the problems. I know that's not what we're talking about here today. When you've got two oversized flags right at the entrance and the exit of your county, and you come to the county seat of the county, it's on the square. Well, it doesn't take too many people too much to figure out or to be exactly, just embarrassed. Not just African Americans. There's some African Americans that sit here throughout years, and it doesn't bother them. And then you got to realize also that some of us didn't even know what that statue were when we were growing up. And that goes with part of the critical race theory thing that now we have to be a challenge to. And then when you look and people actually deny what's going on and say it's not happening, it reminds you of the insurrection. The insurrection kind of parallels with what we're dealing with here today in our county and other places that have monuments on the square. So that's what I have to say today about the Confederacy, and Confederacy that stands for the Confederacy. And I hope that in the future that you guys, or whoever comes next on the county commissioners, and you as well, take it to heart to realize how others feel and how you make others feel. And we want more unity in our community here in Burke County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kincaid. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody else signed up to speak?
That was the only one that contacted me in advance.
It's two others that supposed to be here to speak.
I didn't get anything, but
Madam Clerk, let them sign up and then, sir.
I want to say good evening to everyone that's here, to our leaders of Burke County.
Sir, can
and
you hold
also
on 1 second, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Taylor, you state your point of order.
My point of,
That control this board and control the process of this board. You must pre-sign up before we begin a public comment session.
The chair rules that the point of order is not well taken.
The chair will what?
I rule that the point of order is not well taken.
so you're saying I can't speak?
No, sir. This is internal.
Okay.
Clarity, Mr. County Attorney, as chair. I allowed them to sign up,
You have that authorization, Mr. Chairman.
just for clarity, just for the record, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Sir, state your name and where you live, please.
My name is Charles Scruggs, and I'm a resident here in Burke County. And I came to speak on the Morganton Monument that's in the town square. Now, I am a Christian, and my scripture tells me that when one wins the prize, we all wins the prize. And when one is in pain, we all are in pain. And I'm asking the commissioner here to have sympathy, empathy, and compassion on how other people feel about this monument. And I wrote some notes, and I hope you allow me to read what I have here to go along with the monument. Now that the renovation of the Morganton Square has been completed, the Confederate statue is more visible to all residents and visitors coming into the town of Burke County, which is saying to people of melanated color, the town supports oppression. Not only that, there are huge Confederate flags on the east end and west end of Burke County, which telling travelers of color that they are not welcome here. And I truly believe that that says this county supports oppression. I not only bring this problem to the floor, I also bring a solution. And the problem was people of color would love to have that statue removed in the middle of town so we can feel more welcome in our own hometown. The solution is for those that want to continue to support that statue, remove it to a more appropriate site, for instance, like a museum, and you can continue believing in the heritage of that statue. And I conclude my statement at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Scruggs.
You're welcome.
Bruce, I know we all know you, but if you will go ahead and state your name and where you live, please.
All right, my name is Bruce Hawkins Sr., and I am a resident of Burke County. And I'm here tonight to speak to you about the Confederate statue that graces our courthouse square. Mr. Chairman and other members of this board, the Burke County Board of County Commissioners, I want to thank you for allowing myself and other citizens of Burke County to appear before you to express our concerns as they relate to our great county. And first, I would like to apologize for not signing up prior to the meeting to address the board. I, of all people, should know that this is the protocol, so I apologize for that. Over the past 2 years, you have heard from a number of citizens regarding the pros and cons of removal, relocating, and leaving as is the Confederate statue on our courthouse square. Likely what I say here this afternoon has already been stated. However, I feel obligated to express my opinion. Feel more obligated more recently than I have in the past because of some personal situations that I've encountered. Some have likely stated to this board that the statue is racist or part of their heritage. I'm here this afternoon to state to you, express to you, that the statue located on our courthouse square is racist, offensive, intimidating, and is a constant reminder of the brutality, hardships, and suffering that my ancestors endured. When visiting our courthouse square for festivities, How can it be a time of enjoyment with the presence of the Confederate statue? The greatest asset of any county is its citizens. If this board considers the African American community and other groups as citizens of this county, you should recognize and appreciate us as an asset to Burke County. The greatest asset to any county is its citizens. Let's do all that we can together to project Burke County as a progressive county and remove all racist symbols, thus creating a more welcoming community for all. The erection of the courthouse square, my dates may be wrong, some say, the Confederate statue, some state that it was erected in 1911 and some say 1918. But whatever the date was that it was erected, it was wrong then and it is wrong today. And I would urge you as a public elected body of this county is to take a stand and remove all racist symbols from Burke County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Commissioner, Chairman, for,
If you could just state your name.
my name's Chad Conley, Reverend Chad Conley. I'm a pastor here in Burke County, a lifelong citizen, born and raised here in Burke County. I know it's not an easy task that you guys have in front of you. It's a very touchy subject. It is very hard, and it's hard to please everyone. As a combat soldier from Burke County, serving in the military, I find that I'm very patriotic, and I understand what sacrifice is, and I understand what that sacrifice means to family members. I know what it means to be a soldier, whether now or back then in the current climate of America. But it is a time for compromise. And when I say that, it's because when I take my family on vacation and come back here to Burke County, you don't see anything that you see getting close to this area. You know, when you get close to this area, you can go anywhere in North Carolina. And then when you come into getting close to this area, the western part, and coming down the mountain, the first thing people see is those flags that are erected, and then they get here and we see the statue. And even though all statues around us have been moved and taken away, now, I don't think anyone's heritage should be destroyed. I fought for freedoms of this country, and I believe in what our Constitution says. Everybody has a right to believe what they believe and have the views that they want to have and the heritage that they have in their history. But I do believe that there's a proper place for it. That courthouse square is a hub for our community. It is where everything in Burke County that happens brings us all together in one place from all walks of life. And I think that should be a place where we have to come, where everyone can come and not have to worry about any kind of thing that offends one person or the other. We should be there socializing and knowing our neighbor and loving on our neighbor. And I think that's what we need to, that's what brought me back to Burke County after my time in the service, because I couldn't wait to get back here and raise my family. Because growing up as a kid, this has always been a great neighborhood, great county, a great place to live, and I still believe that. There's a lot of good people in Burke County. And I know these decisions are hard, and I know that it's going to take some compromise. But I think it is time that we sit down with both sides and figure out some kind of compromise that is good for both sides, and that we can move past this, and it can quit being a thorn in the side of Burke County. It quit being a thorn in the side of the leaders of this county. There's a whole lot more issues to worry about than a statue. So that's what I wanted to say today. I know y'all guys have a hard task. I know it's not easy. And I know sometimes doing the right thing is not popular. As a pastor, I know that satisfaction and satisfying everybody sometimes is not able and not a feasible task. But doing what right should be always the forefront of our decisions as leaders. And thank you for your time today. I have a book for y'all that I brought for you guys today, and I don't know how proper adequate it is. I had to hand that to
You can give it to Mr. Conley, you can give it to the clerk in your sign-up card as well, please.
Yes, sir. I'm going to sign the card. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Conley? Oh, you got it. Madam Clerk, do we have any other folks signed up? If not, that will end public comments. We'll move on to the consent agenda. I'll ask our county manager to review the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have 10 items on your consent agenda. One, Western Piedmont Council of Government Area Agency on Aging, Home and Community Care Block Grant, fiscal year 22 through 23. Number 2, ARP Foothills Higher Education HVAC replacements. Item 3, BDI authorization request 1NC for Unix packaging. Item 4, BDI IDF sewer project for Burke Business Park. Item 5, clerk appointment to the CPCFPT. Item 6, clerk appointments to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Item 7, clerk removal from the appointment to the Regional Aging Advisory Committee. Item 8, clerk resolution updating plat review officer for Town of Hildebrand. Item 9, tax department tax collection report for June 2022. Item 10, tax department release refund report for June 2022. That concludes your consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve all 10 items as rendered.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor of Commissioner Taylor's motion signify with uplifted hand. That is 5-0, Madam Clerk. Now this brings us to items for decision. Item number 1, RFQ for architectural engineering services for EMS base, presented by Brian Steen, our county manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, you're aware that we're in the process of purchasing some property there on DAV Road for the potential construction of a new EMS station. This is another step in the direction of completing that task as far as finding an architect. We put out an RFQ. We had 5 companies respond to that, and I had the help of 5 or 4 people, with myself included, to review the submissions of these architectural firms to evaluate their qualifications for this work. And out of the 5, we chose or found Mosley Architect to be what we believe the most responsive and most capable of doing the job that we would want for this project.
Thank you. Gentlemen, questions, comments for our county manager?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple, and Brian, I apologize, I've had a couple more hours, I could have looked it up myself. What are the total number of ambulances that Burke County has?
I believe we have 17 frontline ambulances, and we probably have some other ones to do some transports for sick calls to the different hospitals, but it's 17 as far as I know for frontline ambulances.
17, and frontline mean ready to go at any moment, at any time, and the other
Yes,
ones
sir.
are?
Backups in case something breaks down.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The number that we had over at the hospital, how many bays do we have over there?
Now that I'm thinking possibly 2. I'm sorry, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. I think the question is, we were asking for a total of 6 which is gonna bring you from 17 to, if you have 4 more, it'd give you 21. I think my question is that if that building is too big to fit into that place, would we back up and push and maybe settle for 5 or even more since we're adding so many?
Yeah, the property that we're looking at is a little bit over 4 acres, so I'm pretty confident we'll be able to do that. And some of those bays may be used again by sick call ambulances. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact number for actual first line service out of EMS Base 1. But you're also, I think, giving yourself at least 1 bay for future, as call demands drive us to needing, a larger fleet. So you're building not only for the day, but you're looking at a possible 50-year service life.
Okay. The square footage, I believe I had it, but I lost it. How big is this building supposed to be, or do we know yet?
No, that I don't know. I know that whenever we start moving forward with the architect, we'll bring Jason and some other people together to start talking about what they're needing, because they're also wanting to have some administrative offices there, as well as a training room, and you'll need to have crew rooms and day rooms for the crews that are there working. So again, we're meeting today's needs, but also planning out for what could be for the next 50 years.
I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Any other questions, comments for County Manager? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to select Mosley Architects as the preferred architectural engineering firm for the EMS Base 1 project, and authorize the county manager to negotiate a contract on behalf of the board. Further authorize the county manager to negotiate a contract with the second or third recommended firm if needed.
Thank you, Commissioner Britton. All those in favor of Commissioner Britton's motion signify with uplifted hand. That is 5-0, Madam Clerk. That brings us to item number 2 under item for decisions, appointments to the Animal Advisory Board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is a request to make some appointments or reappointments to the Animal Advisory Board. Seat number 1 is a 501c3 rescue or foster agency. Gwen Hood currently serves in that role, and she is seeking reappointment. Seat number 3 is a Board of Health member that is occupied by Board of Health member Gwen Stevens, and the Board of Health unanimously approved her recommendation at their June meeting. Seat number 5 is a law enforcement seat occupied by Captain Jeff Robinson, who is also seeking reappointment. We do need an appointment for seat 7, which is an at-large pet owner seat. You have 4 applications on file. They are from Denise Smith, Morgan Bollinger, Jamie Allman, and Jennifer Terry. As requested at the pre-agenda meeting, the chairman asked for a recommendation from the Animal Advisory Board, chair and vice chair, and they recommend Morgan Bollinger. So we have two motions for your consideration. The first one is to reappoint Gwen Hood, Gwen Stevens, and Jeff Robinson to the Animal Advisory Board for a 2-year term ending July 31st, 2024, and then to appoint someone to seat 7 for the at-large pet owner on the Animal Advisory Board for a 2-year term ending July 31st, 2024.
Gentlemen, we've heard Madam Clerk. Any questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I started a process, but again, ran out of time today. Kay, can you tell us, Madam Clerk, can you tell us how we're placed for the county? How many Morganton people do we have on the board? How many East Burke, Hildebrand Valley? How many western part of the Burke counties is on that board, and how, see if we can improve on that balance, if you may.
Almost there. Let's see. Well, I'm pretty sure that Gwen Hood lives in Morganton, as does Dr. McGrady. Gwen Stevens is in Rutherford College. Debbie Hawkins is kind of Drexel Valdez. Not sure about Jeff Robinson, but I have to look back at his applications. Give me just a
He's in
second.
Morganton.
Morganton. Liz Boyd Oliver, I'm probably going to guess Morganton. And I would also have to look back at, I'm not sure where Tamara Robinson resides. Pardon? Rutherford College. Thank you. But these are, seats are based on specific criteria, not geographic location.
So as far east as we are going appears to be for Rutherford College, is that correct? Is that what you share?
Believe so, Rutherford College.
Far west we go is Morganton?
I mean, it could be Oak Hill, it could be a little further out. I'd have to, check their specific address.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments for Kay? Gentlemen, on the reappointment motions, what's the pleasure of the board?
I think their tenure has been very successful, very helpful, very prominent.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we reappoint Gwen Hood, seat 1, Gwen Stevens, seat 3, Jeff Robinson, seat 5.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor.
And to appoint, and I'm going to pick the one.
Well, we will, we'll handle it one at a time. We'll start with the
Okay.
reappointments. So we've heard Commissioner Taylor's motion for the reappointments. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. All right, Madam Clerk, that is 5-0. Now, for the open seat, I'm going to open the floor for nominations.
Mr. Chairman, to balance the county a little better, I would make it, let's see, who was in Glen Alpin? Oh, Denise Smith. I make the motion that Denise Smith be at large, seat number 7.
Okay, gentlemen, we have one nomination. Do we have others?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate also Morgan Bollinger.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. So we've got 2 nominations. Are there any other nominations for the seat, gentlemen? If not, I'll close the nominations, and we'll take them one at a time. And we'll begin with Commissioner Taylor nominated Denise Smith. All those in favor for her for us to appoint her to seat number 7 as an at-large pet owner on the Animal Advisory Board for a 2-year term ending July 31st, 2024, signify with uplifted hand. That is 3. Opposed, 2. So I guess that takes care of it, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, we're moving on to reports and comments. We'll start with Margaret.
I don't have any comments or reports, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the last meeting of Commissioners in June, I have been involved in drafting an amendment and release of restrictive covenants for property that the county is interested in purchasing. I have drafted an annual budget grant agreement with Animal Services Foundation, Inc. for our contribution toward their van. I have researched on the county's behalf what constitutes a public officer for purposes of closed sessions of the commissioners' meeting. I've represented the county in a lawsuit filed by a developer seeking to close a subdivision road near where the county owns property. I'm in the process of reviewing public trail easements with Lake James Camping Resort, reviewing the building reuse agreement for Project T2, and preparing a deed of trust to protect the county's investment. I'm in the process of reviewing the Vanguard Furniture local grant agreement. I'm in the process of drafting the Meritor local grant agreement. I'm starting title searches on the Partif properties that the county will be acquiring for trail easements. I'm assisting and consulting with the Register of Deeds concerning accepting deeds from attorneys who are currently under disciplinary action by the NC State Bar. I have reviewed county actions regarding short-term rentals and holiday shores, and I have been advising Animal Services concerning animals being held as evidence. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I do, as the Vice President of the Animal Services Foundation, am very pleased to report that we did purchase the van, the cargo van yesterday, and there will be a press release coming out very soon about that, and would just like to, again, express our thanks for you and the Mole Foundation and private donors, for all of us working together to make that a reality. I'd also like to bring to your attention that Reason, our local spay and neuter nonprofit, is having its annual meeting on July 26th at 6 p.m. at the Higher Ed Center, room 211, and everyone is invited to see what all they have accomplished. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. County Manager?
Yes, sir. We have for your enjoyment a short video for recruitment for the Sheriff's Office that is just being completed.
Multitude of training that you can take outside of the office. They want us to be knowledgeable of the job we have to do.
I feel confident in the training that I've got here.
I do feel well trained to do the job.
I think it takes a fairly strong person to make it through training, not just physically, but mentally.
The training's great. That first 2 months, you know, you really got to dig in. They're going to push you hard. They're going to see how hard they can push you. They're going to see if you want to be there. You got to be strong up here. I mean, I love it.
I was looking to be a part of something, had a calling for service. This is where I found that. It takes an individual who can be brave and courageous when the time calls.
You have to be able to go to one extreme to the next.
Being honorable, you have to have self-drive, motivation.
If it takes your mind, it takes your heart, it takes your body to be able to adapt to any situation that you're in.
It has to be a sacrifice.
You have to be very selfless. You have to have a strong mind.
Character in this profession is very important. You have to be the individual that can make the right decision at the right time, and you have to be able to do that at all times.
There's 12 different divisions. So when you start here on day one, you do have, different options.
We do have many opportunities to advance, so you're not stuck in the same place.
Honestly, I did not have any kind of expectations of moving up. They told me just keep doing what I'm doing and it'll take you wherever you want to go.
The supervisors here at the sheriff's office, they're training you and grooming every person to be a future leader.
If you have the desire and the ability to learn and train and set yourself some goals, you can move far in the sheriff's office.
I believe it's a calling. You'll know and you'll understand that this is for you. I knew in my heart that it was something that I need to do.
I've always told the guys that work for me that it's not always about money, and you have to love what you're doing.
In my 16 years at the sheriff's office, I really have got to make a difference in the community that I grew up in and live in.
The biggest thing with making a difference is treating people like people.
I know things are the way they are now. If we work together, we can make it better.
I have a drive to help with anything that I can and show compassion to anyone that needs it.
You are not static in this job. You have a multitude of opportunities. Once you get into law enforcement, it's hard to get out of it. It's the camaraderie with your fellow officer that you have each and every day.
The fantastic days that you have are worth all the hard days. It's the most rewarding experience of my life.
They also have a separate one for detention officers, and I believe one other one, but that was one of the main ones for you.
Thank you. Looks great. Great job. Commissioner Aiden?
I thought it was a great job too, and that's other comments, but that was great.
Wow, it's movie quality.
Good recruiting tool.
Absolutely. Mr. Taylor?
Yes, a couple of things. In addition to the reports that's already in your package, on 6/28, I attended with a group of many of you, the UNC Health Blue Ridge groundbreaking for their new facility, and that was awesome. It's going to be built in phases, and I think it's 3 floors the first and then 3 the next go around, I believe is what, be a total of 6 stories in that building. On 7/13, I attended the ribbon cutting at Galliard Creek Bridge. Our chairman was present at that one. And I will advise the clerk, there's no meeting for MTAC at the COG this month. And there's no meeting scheduled for JCPC for August. So for those months, if you're looking for minutes, they will not be. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Commissioner Britton.
No comments, sir.
Vice Chair Carswell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please remind all the commissioners about August the 11th. That is our NCACC annual meeting in Concord. If you've not registered with Kay, please do so. Or Kay, have we all registered?
All that's going.
All that's going. I hope you all attend in Concord. I will be leaving Thursday morning to go to Denver, Colorado to represent us in the North Carolina County Commissioners Association. On Saturday, I will be making a presentation with Commissioner Dow Kemple from Jackson County, Colorado, on the opioid lawsuit settlement. I'm very honored to represent North Carolina in this role to all the other states, actually, that will be there at the conference, and this will be we feel like one of the best attended presentations that we have out there, because everybody is still interested on how we'll be able to spend the money from the opioid lawsuits. I think we've all been aware, we've watched the news the last couple of weeks about how much fentanyl and other drugs are crossing our borders. This is not a problem that's going to go away. We're going to be able to put a Band-Aid on it, and that's about it. As far as mental illness, our 2 presenters this afternoon, they have, Sherry, God bless her, has loaded me down with paperwork for 4 years. So that I still have on my computer. I remember the first time that she called me, how elated she was to tell me about what her and Eddie were trying to do. And they have sacrificed, and I use that word lovingly because I know you love what you do, but you've sacrificed a lot of your life for the mental health side. And some of us have sacrificed a lot of our lives on the substance abuse side. And again, we hope we don't have to bury any more children here in Burke County, but unfortunately that will occur again. But we're going to continue, the 3 of us I know, to do what we do, to do best, to try to do whatever it is that God gives us the ability, to do. So for those of you that have helped me, Corey Fisher-Wellman sitting back there in the back for DSS and putting together all the documentation I'm going to take with me when I fly out Thursday morning. I appreciate what y'all have done for me and what we're going to do. But again, look forward to seeing you in Concord. Hope you all can be there, and then I'll see you when I get back home. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. And once again, as Johnny said, we got one of our own going and representing North Carolina, and actually one of 2 representing the United States at this event, and I'm quite proud of him. So I know he'll do a fantastic job. He mentioned our State Association meeting in Concord that is in August 11th through the 14th. So I would remind you of that. Our pre-agenda will be August 2nd. Our regular meeting will be August 16th. A couple courtesy reminders. Please don't litter. Want to remind everybody of that. And if you see trash, pick it up. And those folks that are carrying trash to one of our convenience sites, please cover your loads. That's really important because a lot of this is really dirtying up our roadsides. So please pay attention to that. Please spay or neuter your pets. Adopt or foster a pet from Animal Services. And 2 special announcements. We had 2 July birthdays. I saw cupcakes, 2 different flavors back there, so we're in closed session. I know what we're getting. Vice Chair Carswell is, his birthday was July 11th. I won't say ages, I'm just gonna say July 11th. And Commissioner Britton was July 22nd. So, congratulations.
I'm older.
Will be July 22nd, I should say.
I'm older than Jeff and younger than those other two over there.
So, and Jeff, hopefully you'll have a fantastic birthday coming up. Yes, sir. And at this point, Madam Clerk, vacancy announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have the following opportunities for citizens to serve on county boards and committees: the Adult Care and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, City of Morganton Board of Adjustment and Planning Board for the ETJ, Burke Senior Center Advisory Council, the Child Protection and Child Fatality Prevention Team, East Burke Senior Center Advisory Board, Burke County Board of Adjustment, Council on Aging, Burke County Board of Health, and Partners Consumer and Family Advisory Committee Traumatic Brain Injury Seat.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and I would just reiterate what she said. As you can see, there are multiple opportunities for our citizens to become involved, and we would love for you to become involved. So please contact us, and we can definitely get you put to work. That being said, we'll move on. There is a quick need for a closed session. This closed session discussed threat and opinion litigation, preserve the attorney-client privilege, discuss economic development, and I don't have the specific
143, 318, 11A, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
we just added this, it wasn't on here, but, okay. So, gentlemen, we have a motion to go into closed session? Thank you, Commissioner Abley. All those in favor? Yes, sir, 5-0. Gentlemen, we had a proper motion to come out of closed session. Gentlemen, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to give authority to the county manager to make a conditional offer for a candidate for the 911 director's position at 88% of the current salary range, which is out of the county manager's authority, but I'd like to give him the authority in that 88% range.
Thank you, Vice Chair Carswell. Gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Those against? Motion carried 4-1. Madam Clerk. Gentlemen, that is, I think we've wrapped everything up. All we need is a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify with an uplifted hand. And that is 5-0, Madam Clerk. Thank you, gentlemen.